The red sand of planet Kepler 442b crunched under Commander Voss's heavy boots as he walked toward the massive stone structure. His green scales caught the morning light from the twin suns above. The ruins stood like giant teeth rising from the desert, carved with symbols that no one in the Galactic Empire had ever seen before. "Sir, the scanning team found something big," said Lieutenant Blake, running up to the commander. His breathing was heavy from excitement. "You need to see this right away." Commander Voss followed the young officer through the camp where dozens of Imperial soldiers and scientists worked under white tents. The Empire had been digging here for 3 months, ever since their deep space scanners found energy readings coming from this dead world. What they discovered was beyond anything they expected. The ruins belonged to a civilization that had vanished thousands of years ago. But this was not just any ancient race. The more they dug, the more horrible the truth became. Dr. Reed, the team's main scientist, stood next to a large hole in the ground. His face was pale as he looked at Commander Voss. "Commander, we found the entertainment chambers," he said quietly. "And it's worse than we thought." Commander Voss climbed down into the underground room. The walls were covered with pictures carved in stone. At first they looked like normal art from any dead civilization, but as his eyes got used to the dim light, he saw what they really showed. Creatures that looked almost like humans were fighting for their lives in large arenas. Other beings, tall and thin with long arms, watched from seats high above. The tall beings wore rich clothes and seemed to enjoy the suffering below. In picture after picture, the human-like creatures died in terrible ways while crowds cheered. "These tall ones," Commander Voss said, pointing at the stone carvings. "They were the rulers here?" "We think so," Dr. Reed replied. "We're calling them the architects. They built all this, but look at these other beings." He pointed to the smaller figures in the pictures. "Don't they look familiar to you?" Commander Voss stared at the carved faces. The creatures had 2 arms, 2 legs, and faces that were very similar to— "No," he whispered. "It cannot be." "I thought the same thing," Dr. Reed said. "But then we found this." He led Commander Voss deeper into the chamber. At the far end was a wall covered with what looked like a map of the galaxy. Red lines connected different star systems, and small symbols marked various planets. One of the marked planets was in a part of space that Commander Voss knew very well. "That's the Sol system," he said, his voice full of shock. "That's where the humans come from." Dr. Reed nodded. "And according to these maps, the architects had ships that traveled there many times. We think they took humans from their homeworld and brought them here." The weight of this discovery hit Commander Voss like a heavy stone. Humans were one of the newest members of the Galactic Empire. They had joined just 50 years ago after their first contact with Imperial ships. Everyone thought humans were just another young species learning to travel between stars. No one knew they had been taken from their world thousands of years before. "How many?" Commander Voss asked. "We don't know yet. But based on the size of these entertainment areas, it was thousands, maybe tens of thousands." Commander Voss felt sick. The Empire prided itself on protecting all species. They had strict laws against slavery and cruelty. To learn that one of their member species had suffered like this in the past was horrible. "Sir," Lieutenant Blake called from across the chamber. "The human research team just arrived. Should we tell them?" Commander Voss looked up. He had forgotten that a team of human scientists was coming to help study the ruins. The Empire often used experts from different species to understand alien civilizations better. The humans were supposed to arrive today. "Not yet," Commander Voss said. "Let them settle in first. We need to understand more before we tell them what we found." But as they climbed back to the surface, Commander Voss saw it was too late. A small Imperial shuttle was landing near their camp. Through its windows, he could see several human faces looking out at the ruins with excitement and wonder. Dr. Marcus Webb was the first human to step off the shuttle. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had spent his whole life studying dead civilizations. Behind him came 3 other humans: Lisa Park, a young woman who worked with ancient machines, Dr. James Carter, who studied old languages, and Captain Torres, a military officer sent to protect the science team. "Commander Voss," Dr. Webb called out, walking over with a big smile. "Thank you for inviting us. These ruins look amazing. I can't wait to start working." Commander Voss forced himself to smile back, but his heart was heavy. How could he tell these excited humans that they were looking at the place where their ancestors had died for entertainment? "Welcome to Kepler 442b, he said. "I hope you will find your work here interesting." Dr. Webb looked around at the massive stone structures. "This architecture is unlike anything I've seen. The builders must have been very advanced. Do we know what happened to them?" "We are still learning," Commander Voss replied carefully. "But come, let me show you to your tents. You must be tired from the journey." As the humans set up their equipment and prepared for their work, Commander Voss watched them with new eyes. Now that he knew the truth, he could see the similarities between the humans and the creatures in the stone carvings. The shape of their faces, the way they moved, even their expressions when they were curious or excited. These humans had no idea that they were walking through the place where their people had suffered and died. They saw only an exciting scientific discovery. But Commander Voss knew that soon, very soon, they would learn the horrible truth about their past. He made a decision then. Whatever they found in these ruins, whatever terrible things they learned about what the architects had done, the Empire would protect the humans. They had suffered enough. The twin suns began to set over the desert, casting long shadows across the ancient stones. In the growing darkness, the ruins looked even more like the tombs they really were. But Commander Voss was determined that they would not become tombs for any more humans. The discovery was just the beginning. 3 days had passed since the human team arrived. Dr. Marcus Webb worked with great excitement, carefully cleaning dust from ancient stone tablets. He had no idea that each symbol he uncovered told the story of his people's suffering. Lisa Park stood inside a large underground room, studying broken machines that lined the walls. Her scanner beeped as it detected old energy patterns. "These devices are incredible," she said to Dr. Reed. "They're thousands of years old, but still have power running through them." "What do you think they were used for?" Dr. Reed asked, though he already feared the answer. Lisa ran her hand along the smooth metal surface of one machine. It was shaped like a chair with strange attachments. "I'm not sure yet, but they seem designed to hold someone in place. Maybe for medical procedures." Dr. Reed looked away. The Imperial scientists had already figured out what these machines really did. They were torture devices, built to cause pain without killing. The architects had used them to keep their human prisoners alive and suffering for as long as possible. Meanwhile, Dr. James Carter sat at a small table covered with papers. He had been working day and night to translate the architect language. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but he could not stop. Something about these writings felt important. "Commander Voss," Dr. Carter called out, "could you come look at this? I think I'm starting to understand their writing system." Commander Voss walked over, his heavy footsteps echoing in the stone chamber. He looked down at the papers covered with Dr. Carter's notes and drawings. "What have you found?" Commander Voss asked. Dr. Carter pointed to a section of symbols he had copied from the wall. "This word keeps appearing everywhere. I think it means game or sport, but it's always connected to these other symbols." He pointed to different markings. "These seem to refer to living beings." Commander Voss felt his stomach tighten. "Living beings?" "Yes, and look at this." Dr. Carter showed him another set of symbols. "I think this is their word for what we would call breeding or making stronger. It appears in the same sentences as the word for humans." The truth was becoming clearer, and Commander Voss knew he could not hide it much longer. The architects had not just captured humans for entertainment, they had been breeding them, making them stronger and tougher, so they would survive longer, in the fighting pits. "Dr. Carter," Commander Voss said carefully, "perhaps you should take a break. You have been working very hard." But Dr. Carter was too excited to stop. No, I'm so close to understanding. Look at this sentence." He pointed to a long line of symbols. "I think it says something like, 'The small warriors from the third planet fight with great spirit. We must bring more to make the games better.'" Commander Voss closed his eyes. There it was, proof that the architects had gone to Earth and taken humans specifically because they made good fighters. At that moment, Dr. Webb came running into the chamber. His face was bright with excitement. "Everyone, you have to see what I found." He led them to a new section of the ruins that had just been uncovered. It was a huge room with walls covered in detailed carvings. But these pictures were different from the others. They showed the entire history of the architect's relationship with humans. The first pictures showed architect ships arriving at a blue and green planet, Earth. The next pictures showed them taking groups of humans and bringing them back to this world. The following images were harder to look at. They showed humans being put in cages, sorted into groups, and forced to fight each other. But as the pictures continued along the wall, something changed. The humans began to look different. They became stronger, faster, more determined. "It's like they were adapting," Lisa Park said, studying the carvings. "Each generation looks tougher than the last." Dr. Webb nodded. "Evolution in action. The weak died, and only the strong survived to have children. After thousands of years, the humans here became something different from the ones on Earth." "But look at the final pictures," Dr. Carter said, pointing to the end of the wall. The last carvings showed something amazing. The humans had not just survived, they had fought back. The pictures showed them working together, making weapons and fighting against their architect masters. The final image showed humans breaking free from their cages and running toward architect ships. "They escaped," Lisa Park whispered. "Some of them got away." Commander Voss stared at the carvings. "When?" Dr. Carter checked his translation notes. According to the dates in these writings, it was about 15,000 years ago. 15,000 years, Dr. Webb repeated. That would be just before humans started developing civilization on Earth. What if... He stopped talking as a terrible thought came to him. "What if what?" Commander Voss asked. Dr. Webb looked around at his fellow humans. What if the humans who escaped came back to Earth? What if they brought back everything they had learned here? The strength, the fighting skills, the knowledge. The room became very quiet. Everyone was thinking the same thing. The humans of Earth had always wondered why their species was so good at surviving dangerous situations. They could adapt to almost any environment. They never gave up, even when things seemed hopeless. They worked together when facing threats. All of these traits would have been exactly what humans needed to survive in the architect fighting pits. "You're saying," Lisa Park said slowly, "that modern humans are descended from the ones who escaped from here?" "It would explain a lot," Dr. Webb replied. "Our species has always been unusually tough and adaptable compared to other intelligent races." Commander Voss watched the humans as they realized the truth about their past. He expected them to be angry or sad. Instead, they seemed proud. "Our ancestors didn't just survive," Dr. Carter said, looking at the final carving again. "They won. They beat their captors and made it home, and they made sure their children would be ready for anything," Lisa Park added. Captain Torres, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. "That's why humans never give up," he said. "It's in our blood." Commander Voss felt something he had not expected. Respect. These humans were not broken by learning about their terrible past. They were made stronger by it. But as he looked at the happy faces of the human team, Commander Voss knew that other species in the Empire might not see it the same way. They might fear humans even more now that they knew humans had been bred for fighting. The revelation was complete, but the real test was just beginning. The emergency meeting took place in the largest tent at the dig site. Commander Voss sat at a metal table, staring at the holographic display that showed messages from across the Empire. Each message brought worse news than the last. Admiral Kane's face appeared on the screen, his blue skin darker than usual with worry. "Commander, the situation is getting out of hand. 3 different species have already demanded that we quarantine all human worlds." "What?" Commander Voss stood up so fast, his chair fell backward. "On what grounds?" "Fear," Admiral Kane replied simply. "The news about the architect discovery has spread. Everyone knows that humans were bred to be fighters. The Reptilian Council thinks humans are too dangerous to be free. The Crystal people want all humans put in protected camps for everyone's Safety. Even some of our own Imperial officers are worried. Commander Voss felt anger building in his chest. These humans are not weapons. They are people. They have families, dreams, and hopes just like everyone else. I know that, Admiral Kane said. But try telling that to a galaxy full of scared aliens. The tall Greys just sent a message saying that humans should be studied, not treated as equals. They think humans might lose control and become violent. The screen changed to show another face. General Hayes, the highest-ranking human in the Imperial military. His expression was grim. Commander Voss, I'm getting reports from human colonies across the Empire. Some places are already seeing protests. On New Terra, a group of reptilians tried to force human families out of their homes. On Beta Station, human workers are being fired from their jobs. Commander Voss pounded his fist on the table. This is madness. These humans have done nothing wrong. That's not how the other species see it, General Hayes replied. They look at humans and don't see people anymore. They see living weapons that were designed by the architects. Dr. Elena Ross, the head Imperial scientist, joined the conversation. Her voice was calm but worried. I've been studying the genetic data we found in the ruins. The truth is even more complex than we first thought. What do you mean, Commander? Voss asked. The architects didn't just breed humans to be stronger, Dr. Ross explained. They designed them to never give up, to always find a way to survive and to work together when facing impossible odds. Every human alive today carries these traits in their DNA. Admiral Kane leaned forward. Are you saying the other species are right to be afraid? No, Dr. Ross said firmly. I'm saying they're looking at this all wrong. Yes, humans were changed by what happened to them, but those changes didn't make them monsters. They made them heroes. Commander Voss felt hope for the first time since the crisis began. What do you mean? Dr. Ross pulled up data on her screen. Look at human behavior over the past 50 years since they joined the Empire. They have the lowest crime rates of any species. They volunteer for the most dangerous rescue missions. They share their resources with planets in need. They adopt orphan children from other species. But they're also the best fighters in the Imperial military, General Hayes added quietly. Yes, Dr. Ross agreed, but they only fight to protect. Others never to conquer or hurt innocent people. The architects tried to make humans into perfect killers, but instead, they created perfect protectors. Meanwhile, at the dig site, the human team was facing their own problems. Captain Torres received a message from his commanding officer, ordering all humans to return to Earth immediately. Dr. Webb got word that several universities were canceling their contracts with human researchers. Lisa Park learned that her family, back home, was being questioned by Imperial security, but the humans refused to leave. This is our history, Dr. Webb said firmly. We have a right to understand what happened to our ancestors. Lisa Park nodded. And we're not done here yet. There are still machines in the lower levels that I haven't studied. They might tell us more about how the architects controlled their prisoners. Dr. Carter held up a tablet covered with translated text. I've found something important in these writings. The architects didn't just disappear. According to this, they were destroyed by their own creations. What do you mean? Captain Torres asked. The humans they bred weren't the only species they captured, Dr. Carter explained. They took beings from dozens of different worlds. Eventually, all these different species worked together and turned against the architects. It was the greatest slave rebellion in galactic history. Commander Voss, who had been listening from the tent entrance, stepped forward. And humans led this rebellion? Dr. Carter shook his head. No, they were part of it. They worked with everyone else. The writings say that humans were especially good at bringing different species together, making them trust each other and fight as one team. Commander Voss felt something click in his mind. This was the answer they needed. He activated his communicator. Admiral Kane, patch me through to the Imperial Council meeting. Within minutes, Commander Voss was speaking to representatives from dozens of species across the Empire. Many of them looked afraid or angry when they saw him. Commander Voss, said the reptilian ambassador, her voice cold. We are voting on the human question. Many of us believe they should be isolated for the safety of the galaxy. Before you vote, Commander Voss said, you need to hear the complete truth about what we found here. He told them about the rebellion, about how humans had worked with other enslaved species to defeat the architects. He explained that humans were not designed to be killers, but to be survivors who protected others. The architects tried to create the perfect weapon, Commander Voss concluded. Instead, they created the perfect ally. Humans don't conquer, they unite. They don't destroy, they protect. They don't take, they give. The council chamber was quiet for a long moment. Finally, the Crystal Ambassador spoke. If this is true, then perhaps we have been looking at this situation incorrectly. It is true, Dr. Elena Ross said, joining the conversation. And I have the proof. Humans have been part of the Empire for 50 years. In that time, they have never started a war, never attacked another species, and never broken a peace treaty. Their only fights have been to defend others. The tall gray representative raised a concern. But what if they change? What if their warrior nature takes over? Captain Torres stepped forward. With respect, sir, our warrior nature has already taken over. We are warriors against injustice, against cruelty, and against fear. We choose to fight for peace, not against it. The vote that followed would change everything. But as commander, Voss looked at the determined faces of the human team around him. He knew they had already won the most important battle, the battle for understanding. The ground began to shake at dawn on the 7th day. Dr. Marcus Webb was studying stone tablets when the first tremor hit. Ancient dust fell from the ceiling as the entire ruin complex vibrated with a deep, rumbling sound. "What's happening?" Lisa Park called out, her voice echoing through the underground chambers. Commander Voss ran toward the main excavation site, his boots pounding against the stone floor. His scanner was beeping wildly. "All teams report to the surface immediately," he shouted into his communicator. But as the humans and Imperial soldiers climbed out of the underground chambers, they saw something that made their blood freeze. All across the desert, tall metal structures were rising from the sand. They looked like giant metal spiders with glowing red eyes. "Architect technology," Dr. Elena Ross whispered, staring at her readings. "It's been sleeping under the sand for thousands of years." The metal machines moved with deadly grace, their long legs carrying them toward the dig site. Each one was the size of a small building, with weapons mounted on their backs. As they got closer, a sound came from them, a high, piercing noise that seemed designed to cause fear. "How many?" General Hayes asked as he arrived with reinforcements. Lieutenant Blake counted the approaching machines. "At least 20, sir. Maybe more coming from the other side of the ruins." Commander Voss watched the machines advance and made a decision that would surprise everyone. Instead of ordering the humans to evacuate, he turned to Captain Torres. "Captain, we need your people to stay and fight with us." "Sir?" Captain Torres looked confused. "The standard procedure is to evacuate civilians from combat zones." "These are not normal circumstances," Commander Voss replied. "Dr. Ross, explain what you found." Dr. Ross pulled up her scanner data. "These machines are programmed to hunt specific genetic markers. They're looking for descendants of the architect's former slaves. That means they're targeting the humans specifically." Dr. Webb felt ice in his stomach. "They want to kill us?" "Not just kill," Dr. Ross said grimly. "According to the energy readings, they want to capture you alive, just like the original architects did." Lisa Park stepped forward, her jaw set with determination. "Then we fight. Our ancestors beat these things once, we can do it again." The first machine reached the edge of their camp. It was even more terrifying up close. 30 feet tall with multiple arms ending in different tools and weapons. Its red eyes focused on the humans, and it let out a sound like metal screaming. Imperial soldiers opened fire with their energy weapons. The beams hit the machine's metal skin but barely scratched it. The machine responded by shooting a net made of energy at Dr. Carter, who barely rolled out of the way in time. "Our weapons aren't working," shouted Lieutenant Blake. But Captain Torres was watching the machine carefully. Something about the way it moved seemed familiar. "Wait," he said. "I've seen this before. In the stone carvings. Look at how it attacks." He was right. The machine was using the same tactics shown in the ancient pictures. It was trying to capture, not kill. This gave the humans an idea. "Lisa," Dr. Webb called out to the engineer. "Can you get into the underground chamber where the control machines are?" Lisa Park understood immediately. "If I can access the architect control systems, I might be able to turn their own technology against them." Commander Voss ordered his soldiers to form a protective circle around the humans. "Whatever you're planning, do it fast." As more machines surrounded the camp, an amazing thing happened. The humans and Imperial forces began working together like they had trained for years. Commander Voss seemed to know exactly where Dr. Webb needed to go. General Hayes anticipated Captain Torres's battle plans. The Imperial soldiers moved to protect the human scientists without being asked. Lisa Park ran through laser fire and metal claws to reach the underground chamber. Inside, she found the architect control room still humming with power. Ancient. Screens showed the positions of all the attacking machines. "I'm in," she called through her communicator, "but everything is in the architect language." "I'm coming down," Dr. Carter replied, sliding down a rope into the chamber while explosions echoed above them. Together, they worked frantically to understand the control systems. Dr. Carter translated, while Lisa Park tried to operate the alien technology. Meanwhile, on the surface, something extraordinary was happening. The humans were not just surviving the attack, they were leading the defense. Captain Torres moved like he had been born to fight these machines, dodging their attacks and finding their weak spots. Dr. Webb used his knowledge of architect tactics to predict where the machines would strike next. Even more surprising, the Imperial soldiers were following the humans' lead. Commander Voss found himself taking orders from Captain Torres, and it felt completely natural. "There!" Dr. Webb pointed to a joint in one machine's leg. "That's where their power flows." We saw it in the stone pictures. Imperial weapons focused on the weak spot, and the machine stumbled. For the first time, they had hurt one of the attackers. Underground, Lisa Park's hands flew over the alien controls. "I think I've got it," she shouted. "There's a shutdown command, but it needs genetic authorization." "What kind?" Dr. Carter asked. "It needs DNA from the original slaves," Lisa Park replied. "It needs human DNA." Dr. Carter pressed his hand against the scanner. Nothing happened. He tried again. Still nothing. "Wait," Lisa Park said, studying the readout. "It's not looking for any human DNA. It's looking for specific genetic markers, the same ones the machines upstairs are hunting." She pressed her own hand to the scanner. This time, lights began flashing across the control room. Above ground, the attacking machines suddenly stopped moving. Their red eyes flickered and went dark. One by one, they collapsed into the sand with loud crashes that shook the entire desert. The sudden silence was almost as shocking as the battle had been. Commander Voss looked around at the humans and Imperial soldiers standing together among the destroyed machines. Everyone was covered in dust and breathing hard, but they were alive. "How did you know?" he asked Captain Torres. "How did you know exactly how to fight them?" Captain Torres looked at the fallen machines, then at his fellow humans. "I don't know," he said honestly. "It just felt familiar. Like we'd done this before." Dr. Webb nodded slowly. "Maybe we have. Maybe that knowledge has been passed down in our genes just like everything else." As they stood among the wreckage of the ancient war machines, Commander Voss realized something important had just happened. This had not been just a battle. It had been a test, and humans in the Empire had passed it together. The real test was over, but the results would change everything. 1 month after the battle, the Imperial Council chamber on the capital world was filled with representatives from every species in the galaxy. Today was the day that would decide humanity's future forever. Ambassador Wright sat at the human delegation table, wearing the formal blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. Beside him sat Captain Torres, Dr. Webb, Lisa Park, and Dr. Carter, the heroes from the dig site who had become symbols of human courage across the Empire. Commander Voss stood at the center of the great chamber, addressing the thousands of beings who had come to witness this historic moment. His voice carried clearly through the vast space. "Fellow citizens of the Empire," he began, "we gather today not to judge humanity, but to celebrate them. What we discovered in the ruins of Kepler 442b has changed our understanding of what it means to be strong." The reptilian ambassador, who had once called for human quarantine, now spoke in support. "The battle footage from the dig site has been seen across the Empire. We watched humans fight not for conquest but for survival. We watched them lead our soldiers not to victory over others, but to victory over ancient evil." Admiral Kane's hologram appeared above the chamber. "The Empire's military analysis is complete. In the past month, human colonies have reported zero increases in violence or crime. Instead, we have seen humans organizing disaster relief efforts, volunteering for dangerous rescue missions, and teaching other species their survival techniques." Dr. Elena Ross stepped forward with a data pad in her hands. "The genetic analysis is also complete. We now understand the final truth about human DNA." The chamber became completely quiet. Everyone wanted to hear this last piece of the puzzle. "The architects did change humanity," Dr. Ross continued. "But they failed in their goal. They tried to breed perfect fighters, but they accidentally created something far more powerful: perfect protectors." She activated a holographic display that showed the human genetic code. Every human carries 3 specific traits that were enhanced over thousands of years of breeding. First, they never abandon their allies. Second, they adapt to any situation to survive. Third, they unite different groups against common threats. The Crystal Ambassador spoke up. "But are these traits not dangerous? Could they not be used for war?" Captain Torres stood up to answer. "Respected Ambassador, in the past 50 years, humans have participated in 47 military actions alongside Empire forces. In every single case, we were defending someone else's home, rescuing trapped civilians, or stopping disasters. We have never once attacked a peaceful world or conquered territory for ourselves." Dr. Webb added, "Our ancestors left us a message in the final chamber we discovered. Dr. Carter translated it yesterday." Dr. Carter unfolded a piece of paper and read aloud. "To our children who will come after us. We suffered so that you would never have to. We were made strong so that you could protect the weak. We endured so that you would know the value of freedom. Do not use this strength to rule others. Use it to serve them." The words echoed through the chamber like a prayer. From tall gray representative, who had been one of humanity's strongest opponents, slowly stood up. "I have seen the footage of humans sharing their food with hungry reptilian children on New Terra. I have read reports of human doctors working for free in Crystal People hospitals. I have watched human engineers rebuilding destroyed cities on worlds they had never visited before." He paused, looking directly at the human delegation. "I was wrong to fear you. The galaxy should not fear humanity. The galaxy should learn from humanity." Emperor Zalin, the ancient ruler of the Empire, had been silent throughout the entire debate. Now he rose from his throne, and every being in the chamber bowed their heads in respect. "I have ruled this empire for 300 years. The Emperor said, his voice deep and wise. "I have seen species rise and fall. I have witnessed war and peace, cruelty and kindness. But I have never seen anything like what the humans showed us in that desert." He walked down from his throne toward the human delegation. "When those ancient machines attacked, my soldiers looked to human leadership. When the battle was won, humans shared their victory with everyone. When the dust settled, humans began treating the wounded, even wounded Imperial soldiers who had initially mistrusted them." The Emperor stopped in front of Ambassador Wright. "The Empire does not just accept humanity as members. We name you the Inheritors." A gasp went through the chamber. The title of Inheritor was the highest honor in the Empire, given only to species who had proven themselves worthy of special respect and responsibility. "You inherit not the cruelty of the architects," the Emperor continued, "but the strength of those who defeated them. You inherit not the desire to rule, but the duty to protect. You inherit not the right to take, but the responsibility to give. Ambassador Wright stood up, tears in his eyes. Your Majesty, humanity accepts this honor. We promise to use our inherited strength only to serve the Empire and protect all its peoples. The Emperor smiled. And the Empire promises to stand with humanity always. Any world that threatens human colonies threatens the Empire itself. Any being who harms humans for their genetic heritage will answer to Imperial justice. But the Emperor was not finished. More than that, we are creating a new division of the Imperial military, the Guardian Corps. It will be led by humans but open to all species. Their mission will be to protect the weak, rescue the endangered, and unite different peoples against common threats. Captain Torres stepped forward. Your Majesty, humans volunteer to serve in this Guardian Corps with pride. And we will serve alongside them, Commander Voss added, speaking for the Imperial military. As the ceremony continued, Lisa Park whispered to Dr. Webb, "Do you think our ancestors could have imagined this? That their suffering would lead to us becoming the protectors of an entire galaxy?" Dr. Webb smiled. "I think they knew exactly what they were doing. They planted seeds of strength in their children, knowing that someday those seeds would grow into something beautiful." The final vote was unanimous. Every species in the Empire voted to not just accept humans, but to place them in positions of honor and responsibility. As the Great Chamber emptied and the delegations returned to their home worlds, the ruins on Kepler 442b were transformed into something new. The ancient fighting pits became a memorial garden. The torture chambers became libraries where young beings could learn about the importance of freedom. The architect control rooms became classrooms where humans taught other species about courage and cooperation. A simple stone marker was placed at the entrance to the memorial. It bore a message in every language of the Empire. Here suffered the ancestors of humanity. Here they learned that strength comes not from causing pain, but from enduring it. Here they discovered that true victory comes not from defeating enemies, but from protecting friends. Here they planted the seeds that grew into guardians of the galaxy. The Empire had found something more valuable than another member species. They had found their protectors, their unifiers, their guardians, and humanity had found their true calling, not as weapons forged by ancient cruelty, but as shields raised in defense of all life. The lost civilization was gone, but its greatest creation lived on, not in machines of war, but in hearts dedicated to peace.